everyone, welcome back to Art a la Carte. In today's video I'm going to be doing a speed drawing of a piece that I finally finished. I've been working on this one kind of in my free spare time of art, if I have free spare time. Probably for the last 2 weeks I've been working on this piece. In grand total of adding up all the hours, I think this piece took me about 2.5 days of like full 10-12 hours worth of work, but I spread it out over a couple of weeks. So in the video I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of creating this, and then I'm going to be answering some questions that you guys have asked me on social media. Answer a few of those questions later on in the video as well. So the piece I'm working on was actually slightly inspired when I did my Traveler's piece for the YouTube Artist Collective. And I did the Traveler's piece on this really large piece of paper, which was an 11 by 14 mixed media paper, which I absolutely had so much fun working with. So I thought I wanted to create another piece as well. So I was kind of inspired actually by the size of the paper to create another piece. Usually the largest size that I have done in the past is a 9 by 12. So I wouldn't think that adding just a few more inches to it would make that much of a difference, but it really does. For one, I love the size. I think it's a really, really pretty size. You can get some really good detail in there and things aren't like crunched up as much, but it also takes so much more time and effort to cover just a few more inches. It's amazing how much that increases the workload for this piece. So for the inspiration of this piece, I wanted to do a fairy queen with kind of her little fairy sprites surrounding her. So I went and looked at a whole bunch of just reference photos of women standing, not necessarily fairies or anything like that. In fact, the person I had was just a model. I think she was wearing a wedding dress and kind of standing there, and so I kind of used the position for her, and then used some different reference photos for the hair, and then actually a totally different reference photo for the dress, and then added some elements to the dress that I liked, and then went and researched reference photos for different kinds of jewelry and crowns and things like that. So one question that I get asked a lot is it bad to use reference photos? Definitely not. I use so many reference photos in my pieces. What I do try to not do is take one photo and completely base my art on that one photo. I like to take elements of different pictures and integrate them in to then create my original piece. So like in this piece, I used probably 5 or 6 different reference photos and then still changed things up. I changed the hand position, the color choices and color palette. I kind of pieced together how I wanted that just from color swatches and things like that. So definitely if you need to use reference photos, and I know a lot of artists do. In fact, I know more artists that use reference photos than just work straight out of their head. So that's not cheating. I think the only way it's, would be considered not good is if you took a piece, copied it completely, and then presented it as a complete original work of art from your imagination. So back to the supplies that I used for this piece. Obviously I have the mixed media paper, and then I did the inking in using one of my Copic multi-liners. I used the soft charcoal gray, which was the same one that I used on my Traveler's piece. And then put in the base color using Copic markers, and then later on you'll see I will go over top of that. If I record it, I actually did not record every piece of the creating process. I think once I got into the color pencils, I just had to spread out so much I don't have room for my camera. So I'm not even sure if I recorded the color pencil work that I did. But I used color pencils to add the shading and highlighting and kind of render out the drawing. And then I used some Indian ink to add in some black backgrounds. And then I used some white gouache to bring out some highlights. So for the rest of the drawing, I'm just going to go ahead and answer some questions that I have been asked. And one question that I found kind of reoccurring that I get asked a lot and then had been asked in my Instagram, and I'll use Autumn Meyer 23's question because it kind of sums it all up. It says, when you feel like a bad artist, what is it that you do that brings your confidence back up? I know a lot of artists, including myself, have times where we start drawing and we think, why did I pick the career of being an artist? And you just feel like your artwork stinks and you're not improving. The one thing I definitely do is I try to keep a log and diary of all my drawings. So I go back and look at drawings I did a couple years ago, and I see that I am improving. Another thing I'll do is just take a break from art. Maybe I'm just pushing myself too hard and I don't want to burn out, so I just take a break. I do something else. I have a lot of other little hobbies that I do, so maybe I'll get into sewing for a couple of days or cooking for a couple of days, and I'll just totally put art aside for a while. And then I'll know when I'm ready to jump back into it. So Queenie Princess Luna 6 asked what art piece took me the longest. Well, this one almost took the cake for being 2 weeks, but I didn't work consecutively on it for 2 weeks. But the piece that I worked every day on for the longest was a really large acrylic painting that I did as a commission for a family that was celebrating the wedding anniversary, and it was huge. The canvas was so huge I couldn't even put it on my art easel. I had to put it on the floor and then brace it up on the floor and actually sit down and paint it there. And so yeah, that one took quite a long time for me to do. I think I worked a good week on that piece. Just Red One asked, what do you do with your art when you're finished drawing something? Do you keep them in a portfolio? A lot of times I will put originals up for sale. And in fact, this piece is going to be up for sale on my Etsy shop. If I feel a piece is worth selling, I definitely sell it because that helps me to pay the bills so I can create more pieces. I do have some pieces that I don't want to sell, so some of them I frame and hang up on my walls. Some I give out as gifts, and others maybe if they're just kind of but they're more good ideas. I have storage folders and kind of filing bins that I file all the pieces away. And there are so many awesome questions. I'll have to do another Q&A video sometime soon, but the last question I'm going to take is from HP Midgepot. And should you ever compare yourself to other artists? And this is a very tricky subject. In fact, I might make a video on this alone. But the short answer to that is yes and no. Yes, compare yourself to artists if it's giving yourself a positive goal line. I want to achieve what that artist can do. And so you're working towards that. If it's positive, yes. If you're beating yourself up because you can't do what that artist does, then no, don't compare yourself. And don't conform yourself to want to be that other artist. There's so many artists that have qualities of art that I like and I want my art to emulate, whether it's quality or a look to it or a medium that they use. I will, push myself to study that artist, and I will, base my art and look and see how does their art differ from my art. But I never try to make my art their art. But this is the finished piece. Again, I didn't record a lot of the rendering part with the colored pencils, but it did turn out really pretty. I really enjoyed doing it. And this piece is for sale on my Etsy shop, so you can jump over there and take a peek at it. If you want to see more detailed pictures of it, it'll be over there. Or if you're interested in buying the original, it will be over there as well. And hopefully in the next couple weeks, I will be having a new shipment of prints coming in. So I will be having prints of this available, as well as the Traveler's piece and a few other pieces that I've done since my last print order. So links to the Etsy shop and to my Traveler's piece and links to where I purchased my supplies will all be in the description of this video, so you can check those out. And as always, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye! I have a brown color, but recently I just picked up a warm gray and tried it out here and absolutely adore it. It has this really soft line to it, so if you're not wanting that really harsh kind of black outline, but you still want a nice outline, using a warm gray multi-liner can really give you a nice effect.